Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
A door to the core of India, the heart of the great heartland of our land. We are in Bhopal, capital of the central state of Madhya Pradesh.
Bhopal has its own airport and is an important station on the network of the Indian Railways. Bhopal can also be reached by bus.
Old Bhopal, in its classic architecture, reflects the long reign of its former rulers, the Nawabs, and of its powerful Begums. Gohar Mahal was built by Begum Qudasiya or Gohar in 1820. Architecturally, it blends both Hindu and Mughal styles. Her daughter Jehan had the Moti Masjid constructed in 1860 in a style reminiscent of Delhi's Juma Masjid. Begum Shah Jahan built one of the largest mosques in Asia, the beautiful Taj-ul-Masjid. Its octagonal minarets and its onion-shaped domes have a quiet and soaring majesty. Its cool, echoing interior is decorated with delicate carvings and stone grills.
The old market, the colourful Chowk Bazaar, has much in common with Delhi's Chandni Chowk and the lanes around Hyderabad's Char Minar. Here we met Arun Parekh, whose family specialises in the famed beadwork of Bhopal. Bead bags range from 5 rupees to 5,000, and from the ethnic authentic to the ethnic chic. They even sell Bhopal's unbeatable array of churans or digestives, some covered in silver leaf, presumably for those born with a silver spoon in their mouths.
Silver, in other delicate forms, is also part of the old Bhopal scene. So are fabrics threaded with silver and gold. We also saw a bead bag maker. Then, if all this shopping works up an appetite, there is an array of mouth-watering snacks delectable enough for a Nawab's wedding. And for that touch of background or assertive foreground music, there are strolling bands with all the pomp and circumstance of Sergeant Pepper's.
Old Bhopal is on one side of the lake. A busy road crosses over to the other side, bordered by Kamla Park, beyond which the lake spreads. The citizens of Bhopal relax, swim, fish, and unwind in these refreshing lungs of this great city, as possibly they have been doing since the 11th century Raja Bhoja founded Bhojapal.
If you have more than a passing interest in history, do visit the State Museum. Here there are reproductions of some of the now destroyed Buddhist Bagh cave paintings, 84 rare Jaina bronzes of the 8th and 13th centuries, Avalokiteshvara of Lamaism, Saivite sculptures and miniature paintings showing the graceful lifestyles of those days.
Bhopal was virtually re-established by an Afghan soldier of fortune, Dost Muhammad. Fleeing Delhi and the chaos following Aurangzeb's death, Dost Muhammad helped to fight a Gond ruler's enemies. In course of time, the victorious Afghan took over the land and established his capital in Islamnagar, before he shifted his capital to Bhopal, 11 kilometers away. Today, Islamnagar is a monument to those historic times in the 18th century when loyalty shifted like ripples in a stone basin.
Nostalgia made this soldier of fortune replicate the cool climes and flashing fountains of his home in the far northwest. Today, children play where noblemen relaxed in the scented steam baths of the hammam in Chaman Mahal. And in the double-storied Rani Bagh, where silver anklets once tinkled, the silence of fading memories reigns.
Back in Bhopal, pragmatism has replaced nostalgia, and a former palace has been made into this upmarket hotel. Such suites cost 1,800 rupees. A shade cheaper are AC double rooms like these in a state-run hotel at 1,100. And rooms here are priced at an affordable 625 AC double.
All these hotels are in New Bhopal, as is the famed multicultural centre Bharat Bhavan. Here in a complex which blends effortlessly into a hillside are galleries devoted to tribal art, which has a universal appeal. There are also paintings by artists like M.F. Hussain and Bhupan Khakkar. And there are areas where artists can express their own creativity. The international art market has rediscovered folk painting, and this could well lead to a revival of many art forms. This is Ladu of Jhabua working on her canvas.
After all this mental and spiritual stimulation, you might want to get physical. On the upper lake, there is a boating club with those tummy-trimming devices, pedal boats. It's a cool way to get slim, but don't go home just yet. Many Bhopalis come to the lake at this time. They look westward and wait for the wide-screen extravaganza of sunset on Big Lake.
Next morning, we set off for an enigmatic place associated with the Raja Bhoja. Bhojpur, 28 kilometers away, can be included in a trip to Bhimbedka and Pachmari.
Bhojpur's single-cell structure atop a hillock is like no other temple in our land. Its doorway alone is 11 meters high. Inside, on a platform, is a massive shivling, towering 6 meters into the dome space of the shrine. Is this an incomplete temple, lying silent for 900 years? Or did the scholarly Bhoja, who wrote a treatise on architecture and sculpture, build this as a memorial shrine to his father?
Half a kilometer to the east of the Bhojpur shrine is an impressive rock-cut figure of Shantinath, 6.75 meters high. This colossus is flanked by smaller figures of 2 other Tirthankars. As powerful monarchs and prosperous Jain traders often lived in mutually supportive harmony, Bhoja's temple and this shrine could have been constructed at the same time. Indeed, that is what successful merchant turned Pujari Lal Chand Jain appeared to believe.
A tiny wheeled bullock cart trundled along a dusty road, which was once on the bed of a 67 square kilometer reservoir, reputedly built by the great Raja Bhoja. The king's domain, then, must have been a green and burgeoning land.
As we drove away from Bhojpur, the landscape became rocky and sere. Here, Stone Age man had stood, and here, in Bhimbedka, 46 kilometers from Bhopal, he had camped in the shelter of enormous jagged boulders.
This state-protected site, according to a notice erected by our archaeologists, is the biggest repository of prehistoric art in the country. The first man, apparently, moved here about 100,000 years ago. Men continued to live here for the next 90,000 years. An incredible 20 times more than the centuries between the Indus Valley civilization and us. The oldest paintings here could be about 12,000 years old. They are apparently from the Mesolithic period, and they depict humans and animals. We believe that they served a magical religious purpose. If you could draw an animal, you had ensnared its spirit. Its body would then fall to you easily. The horses belong to the later historical period. The land is too arid now for elephants. Clearly, this lizard has got quite hot-headed about such ecological degradation.
We left Bhimbetka and began to head for the cool Satpura ranges. We stopped at this viewpoint to see the Denwa River winding through wooded hills. Looking carefully, we read the history of this land. These coffee-colored rocks were once soil deposited by glacial rivers hundreds of millions of years ago. Then, hot molten lava spread like liquid chocolate welling up from the earth. After which these mountains were pushed up high into the air. Everything was now set for the birth of cool green Pachmari.
In Pachmari, the army sets the pace. Its educational core is based here. Visitors appreciate the ordered serenity of this little hill station. They get here by road from Bhopal's airport or railhead, 195 kilometers away, or from the railway station at Piparia, 47 kilometers down the hill. Most of the acceptable accommodation is run by the state. In this elegant bungalow set in its own garden, an AC double room is 700 rupees. Non-AC double rooms in other bungalows range from 375 down to rupees 200.
A wall plate of a church hung in one of these hotels. Attracted by it, we searched and found the Church of the Annunciation. Consecrated in 1896, it is a living part of the quiet heritage of our land.
The peace and quiet of a garden brought visitors to the park. Naturally, the heart of town, the bazaar, was as unhurried as an afternoon on a languid long weekend.
In contrast to the laid-back quality of the bazaar, Pachmari's dramatic geology has visitors boarding devil-may-care jeep taxis for an encounter with the spectacle of creation. Past these shops, we began to walk to the cave shrine of Jatashankar. Here, A geologic time ago, the pebbles of an ancient river were pressed into rock. But there was a time even before that.
Here, a legendary time ago, Lord Shiva granted Bhasmasura the power to incinerate anyone on whose head he placed his right hand. Promptly the Asura chased his benefactor. Lord Shiva ran, leaving part of his matted hair behind. We followed Lord Shiva's flight.
Atop these steps, far away from Jatashankar, is another cave shrine, Mahadev. Geologically, such caves could have been carved out by dripping water eating into soft limestone, leaving their casing of hard, once molten rock. Some pilgrims donate Trishul tridents, emblems of Lord Shiva, in thanksgiving. They then walk into this womb-like, water-bisected cave.
Somewhere here, Lord Shiva hid. Or perhaps it was in the recessed cave now graced by his idol. But the determined Bhasmasura found him. At that moment, Lord Vishnu, assuming the form of the beautiful enchantress Mohini, beguiled the Asura to imitate the seductive movements of her dance. When she put her hand on her head, so did Bhasmasura on his. In a puff, he was reduced to hot ashes which fell hissing into this pool.
An easy walk from Mahadev is the even more awesome Gupt Mahadev. It's a slit-like cave slicing into the rock, and it's not for everyone. Only a few people are allowed in at a time. Even so, it can be quite suffocating. Inside, in silent worship, sat a woman renunciate, armored in her own serenity.
Most visitors, however, prefer the high, open, breezed, cool piece of viewpoints like Priyadarshini, from where British Captain Forsyth first sighted Pachmari in 1857. These points are at the edge of the plateau and offer breathtaking, horizon-spanning vistas.
Even more heart-thudding is Handiko. The vertical drop is so great that only at high noon does the sun touch its dark depths. Happily, trees rise out of even the darkest gorge, their crests touched by the sun.
The salmon pink of sunflowers is evidence of the self-renewing power of these forests. As long as the forests cover these hills, rain will filter into the earth and the springs and streams will flow.
Visitors filled the Bee-Fall stream with laughter, relaxing in the cool, dappled shadows. From the edge of the cliff, the stream tumbled down into a gorge. It's a rather difficult climb down, but once you get there, you can bathe in nature's own shower. A myriad drops of crystal tingling you like the stings of therapeutic bees.
Then there's the gentler Apsara Vihar, with its jade pool, its natural diving board, and a strange feeling of magical enchantment.
A short walk away is the elder brother of Apsara Vihar, Big Fall or Rajat Parbat. This is where the water from Apsara Vihar plunges down a great cliff like shimmering tinsel.
All these places were probably associated with the legends of the Korku people. Their ancestors could have been the forebears of the Australian Aborigines, paddling across the shallow, narrow seas of the last ice age. They make commemorative plaques to honor their dead, and we stood in silence near a sacred mango tree while they performed the ceremony of installing a plaque in memory of one of their people.
Later, during the Pachmari Tourism Festival, we witnessed one of our own late 20th century tribal rites.
Clearly, like a flower garden, Pachmari means different things to different people. To the devout, these rock-cut caves once housed the wandering Pandavas. To archaeologists, the caves, after which Pachmari gets its name, were probably cut by Buddhist or Jain monks.
To visitors like Tarun and Sally Kapoor of Nagpur and their daughters Rohini and Ujala, Pachmari is a very peaceful place.
It's extremely peaceful, I would say. I put it like that.
It was our last day in Pachmari, and we still had 2 more appointments to keep after the lake. Our jeep roller coasted down an adventure sports road till we reached Reachgar, the home of the bear. The bears, if they had ever lived here, have departed. But even if we had encountered one, we would not have been more impressed than we were. The setting of Reachgar would have inspired a Wagner opera.
The long shadows of evening warned us to leave Reachghar, and we did our last journey in Pachmari. At the top, we got out, walked a bit, and joined an amphitheatre of visitors on the Fortress of the Sun, Dhupghar, for the greatest show in Pachmari, the spectacle of sunset. We are now ready to start our quest of royal courts.